Rev up your engines! Okay, here we have a rarity. A Honda that's running a little bit rough. Now, it's sat for quite some time unused in the past, and now sometimes start it up, shakes a little, put it in reverse, shakes too much. We're gonna analyze and figure out what's wrong. These are simple cars. There's a lot of room to work. Here's the engine. Now, this is a 2011 Civic, but it's only got like 45,000 miles because it's sat around a lot. Theoretically, the spark plugs are good for a lot more than that. We'll eventually check them, but when I put on my thinking cap, the first thing you're gonna do with a low mileage Honda is check the air filter. Believe it or not, my old photographer at CBS, he couldn't get his car inspected, so he brought it in. I popped the air filter, it was full of crud, and that was the only thing that was wrong. Always start basic. Time for the old screwdriver on a keychain. And you know what? That might be his only problem. He's laughing in the background now. You can tell he says it's dirty, but here's the trick. There's the sun. And we look through it, it's still black. All right, you can't see the sun. You need an air filter. That's probably the only thing wrong with this car. But we're gonna go through the data anyways, just to see what's going on. We're gonna analyze the whole thing. Probably won't find anything wrong, but what the heck. So we'll plug it in. And Honda's weird, they hide stuff. This little thing says DLC, and it's hiding way up here. But there it is, now it's plugged in. So now you know. Cares that light turned green, that means it's plugged in. We turn the key on. So we'll do automatic selection. You don't have to do anything in this. Read. It can read. Do a complete diagnosis of it. Auto scan. And we're off to the races. All systems. Now, as we can see here, it's only got 48,000 miles. So I'm really not expecting to find anything weird, but we'll find out what shape this thing is. As far as I'm concerned, the engine isn't even broken in yet, really. Now, there's only one thing I found wrong. The tire pressure monitoring system. Which actually sort of makes sense, and I'll explain why in a second. We'll see what the codes are. It says they all have low air pressure. Failure on the number 4. And that's rather hilarious because he may not have checked his air filter, but he religiously checks his tire pressure with the tire gauge, right? Tire gauge costs $5. The TPMS, the tire pressure monitoring system, all the sending units aren't working correctly. And that's because the car's 11 years old. Inside the valve stem here, there is a little transmitter, and it operates on, guess what? Batteries. I'm amazed they last 11 years. I don't have any batteries that last 11 years in most things, you know? When they wear out, as they do in the case of this, what do you gotta do? You gotta replace the whole unit. It's inside the tire. Unless you have a tire machine, which even I don't have because I'm not a tire guy, I'm a regular mechanic. You have to go someplace, they gotta take all your tires off, take them all apart, take the old valve stem out, then replace each single one, then reprogram them to fit with the computer, which of course is gonna cost a small fortune. So really, do you wanna spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars? Or you wanna buy a little tire pressure gauge and check them every once in a while? No, other than that, it's perfectly fine. But we're gonna look at live data now. Start it up on the big live data. Here comes the fun. All right, we'll start analyzing it all. MAF sensors, good. We're only in the A's. It goes a long way. Now, as you can see, this is the air-fuel ratio here. Perfect is 1.00. Oh, it was there for a second. 1.98.99. It's almost perfect. Even it was 1 there. Okay, this is a Honda. It's only got 48,000 miles. Most of this car isn't even broken in yet. So, the data shows it's an excellent shape. And he says it was idling bad. Well, probably because the air filter was clogged, because you see 1, 3, 2, 4. No misfires at all. Okay, now it is an automatic transmission. So let's check some of that stuff out. Look at the live data for the transmission. It has no codes, so there's no trouble codes, but we'll see if anything's acting up. Everything looks good. We're in park and neutral. There's the engine speed, and the input shaft on the transmission, of course, is a little bit lower because there's some slippage. But as you can see here, we're in park. Watch what happens when we put it in drive. All right, now it's 0. There's 0 RPM. Yeah, that's what you want to see. That means the torque converter's working. The torque converter allows slippage. If that data would have been differently, you'd have a problem with the torque converter or the main shaft of the transmission. This thing shifts too good for that. But it's a good way to check if you got an older one and it's not shifting correctly. It might not be the transmission. It could be the torque converter. That's where these tools come in handy. Most guys in the past would say, well, we gotta pull your transmission off to check it, and that's gonna be $800. Well, this checks it real fast. Get out, this baby was made in Canada. Canadians make good cars. My Matrix was made in Canada. They know what they're doing. I had a Ford Maverick. It was made in Canada too. Typical Honda, nice and smooth. Now that the dirty air filter's been taken out. Shifts like a dream. I mean, this thing isn't even worn in yet. Look at the difference. But in his defense, watch this. He did look at it. It didn't look that bad because, see here, goes inside here, right? Didn't look bad. He thought the air went this way, but the air goes that way. So the dirt is on the intake side, which in this case is clean. So it wasn't like he didn't even know. He said, oh, that looks good. He just didn't realize the dirty side is on the bottom because the Honda suck them from the bottom up. Most American vehicles, when you see them, a lot of them, they suck on the side you see, so you see the dirt. But take them out and check them out and then throw them away. And don't be lazy. Snap all the snaps on. I see so many cars don't have them all snapped on. Make your head spin. You got to push pretty hard. Then it's solid and in place. Now, as you can see, people buy these Hondas because they're reliable transportation. This particular one gets 35 miles a gallon on a highway. No, it didn't when the air filter was clogged, but he's going to get better gas mileage now. When you check them out, they're sharp-looking cars. This thing's 10 years old. It hasn't lost any styles. No, I don't know how stylish the towel down there is. Or maybe he sweats a lot. It may be a small car. It's a pretty spacious trunk in here. You can carry a lot of stuff in one of these little Civics. Truthfully, they've gone a long, long time from their early clown cars that had a 550cc twin-cylinder air-cooled Honda motorcycle engine under the hood with a fan blowing on it to cool it. They've gone a long way, like universes away. They've always had killer air conditioning systems. Look how easy it would be to change the alternator. But of course, it's a Honda. You may never have to change the alternator. I don't change too many Honda alternators. So now you know, if your Honda's not idling right, maybe you just need an air filter. Don't overlook that. I mean, we checked it out electronically. It is a 10-year-old car, and we saw what excellent shape it was in. Maybe you'll find somebody selling one of these, and you're checking it out. Check the air filter, and if it's all clogged up and it's not running good, maybe you can get a really good deal on it used. And here's some bonus questions and answers. Walworth 1 says, I'm backpacking in Australia with my girlfriend in a 98 Montero 3.5 V6, 350,000 kilometers. When the radiator is cold, it has pressure when I start it up. There's no bubbles. I don't see white smoke. A mechanic says it might be a tiny crack in a gasket, but I shouldn't worry till it works. What do you recommend? Okay, yeah, your mechanic is totally correct. If you have an engine that's sat all night in the outback, you take the radiator cap off and somebody starts the engine, you can feel pressure in the radiator. You got a hole somewhere in the engine head gasket or something. But you say you don't have water in the oil in the water, white smoke yet. He says drive it, don't worry about it. Here's what I tell you to do. I would say get some really good block leak seal. Bars Leaks here in the United States makes a good one that you can actually mix with the antifreeze. Put it in now, and it might seal the little crack for quite some time. Now, the really good sealers use what's called sodium silicate, and that really seals the leaks, but unfortunately, you can only use sodium silicate with pure water. So if you do that, you'd have to empty your whole system out, take the thermostat out, put pure water in, put the sodium silicate, drive it for a week or two, and then after it worked, drain out the water and put in 50% water and 50% coolant. But the Bars Leak works pretty good with modern coolant. So you might get some of that Bars Leak sealer, put it in, and it might seal it for quite some time. Since it's just starting, I've seen that work wonders on that, especially if it's a leak in the head gasket between the pistons and the water cooling jack. It will often seal those quite well. Jack Costa says, Scotty's insurance on motorcycles going up. I thought it was cheaper, but the quotes I get in New York State are $600 a year. Only $300 less than I'm paying car insurance. Okay, you're in New York State, the land of ripoffs. I grew up in Niagara Falls in New York State. And let me tell you, I left when I was 18. The taxes there, the bureaucrats who control everyone's lives, New York State can go to Hades. I am not going to move back there. Let me tell you, they tax the heck out of you. You get nothing for the tax. Regular motorcycle places, no. I just re-upped my insurance, and it cost me $80 a year. Same as it cost me in Texas. Well, actually, it's $5 cheaper in Tennessee than it was in Texas. Costs nothing here. So you're getting ripped off because you live in New York State. I remember when I had a motorcycle in New York State and it cost me $500 to insure it, and that was 40, 45 years ago. It's always been a rip-off state. So actually, $600 a year is cheap. Now I was paying $545 years ago in New York State. The greedy pig state. The state of lying hypocrites like Cuomo, who write books about how great they are, and then people find out, well, he lied about the whole thing. So maybe you should leave New York State. Save yourself some money and some grief in the long run. I did, and I'm happy. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.